Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. And for today's episode, we have something pretty special lined up for you. We are going to give you a sneak peek at one of our Summit Talks sessions. That's right. We have our Summit Talks Summit going live, and I want to give you a sneak peek at it. So you're going to get the audio version of this episode, but what I want you to do is make sure you head over to summittalks.online to get access to all of the amazing Summit Talk sessions and video sessions waiting for you over there. So in the meantime, enjoy this audio version of another amazing Summit Talks. One-day summits don't really work, do they? Well, our next guest made over 6 figures from a simple one-day summit. If you're ready to bring in the bling bling on your one-day summit, then this session is for you. Hey there, Summit hosts. I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software, CEO of Viral Summits, and your host here on Summit Talks, the largest, most impactful virtual summit for summit hosts. Now, we are in for a treat with this session. Not only is this my good friend, this is also legendary Dr. Greg Eckel, who is the visionary behind Nature Cures Clinic. Dr. Greg has over 20 years in clinical practice, has grown one of the largest integrated medical practices in the country, and is also an esteemed author. Now, Greg's is the past board chair of the Naturopathic Medical Board, who was appointed by the governor of Oregon. So grab your pen, grab your paper. We're going to have some fun now. Dr. Greg, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, we're going to have some fun. We're going to try and keep it as serious as humanly possible. When Dr. Greg and I get together, we have a lot of fun. Greg is one of my dearest and closest friends. And with that being said, I've had the pleasure of watching him absolutely crush it in the online space, going from in-practice practitioner, clinical doctor, to absolutely crushing it now, having a massive audience and making major waves, impacts in the world internationally at this point. And before we jump into all of the amazing strategies behind how you were able to do that, I'd love for you to give our summit host just a little bit more information about yourself.
Well, again, I'm Dr. Greg Eckel. I practice out of Portland, Oregon. I've come from brick and mortar, for the last 20 years, seeing patients running these halls, and really have been looking at a strategic way of bringing my stuff online to the masses. So, we specialize. We have a brain regeneration specialty here. I call Camp Nature Cures. People fly in from around the globe to be treated at my clinic with my providers. And, we've written a book called Shake It Off, an integrative approach to Parkinson solutions. And I'm the host of What the Health. It's a podcast out there if you're wanting to bring information into your families, your community on really what it takes to have health and vitality. We're the place to be.
Dude, I love that. Shake it off and what the health. That is amazing. All right. Well, Dr. Greg, you are an expert for sure in your trade. But let's go back before we even jump into your summit. Let's go back to like square one, ground zero. When you were first getting started to take all of this amazing knowledge and resources that you have that have helped so many people, were you like, I got this, I'm just going to jump online? Was it easy sailing? Was it just natural? Take us back to that moment and talk us through what happened.
No, it has not been easy, right? I mean, there's a gazillion things that you can do, like, just easy, get online and you'll crush it. Like, really? What do you need to book? You need a podcast, you need a platform, you need an audience, you need to have people subscribe. It's like, what in the world? Where do I start with all of this stuff? I was basically 3 to 5 years of just grinding of like, how does this all fit together, and trying to find mentors. I met you back in that period. It was like, what in the world? Like, how do you do this? Like, what, they say it's easy, right? I mean, even, back to even the beginning of the internet, like I'm that old.
Virtual Summit's software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summit's software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
Back to the dawn of time. We're going to go way back. Don't worry, all of you youngins that are watching now. It is much easier for you, but it is difficult getting started, knowing how to start, what to start, especially when you are an expert. You have the knowledge in your head, like what's the easiest way to get it out there? And like you've just mentioned, Dr. Greg, there is a lot of options. There's books, there's podcasts, there's blogging, there's summits, there's everything in between. So you decided to get started first with your summit. So take us back to that moment. How did that come to fruition? And then what was it? Talk us through it.
Do you want the truth behind this?
I want the truth behind it.
So I was sitting in a hot tub with this guy called Dr. Mark T. Wade, and I believe it was in Utah, perhaps, a snowbird, and got to talking. I was like, well, now this fellow, he's got some information that maybe I should listen up with. So I started picking your brain of, okay, Mark, I've got, this is what I'm doing. How the hell do I get this stuff out to people? I'm sitting in my clinic. At that point I was doing lectures like locally, going out doing lunch and learns and dinners and really marketing heavy in the Portland metro area. And you're like, hey, Greg, have you heard of this thing called the internet? We can actually get your message out to the masses. So, we got to talking about, well, what is that? What's the patient's journey? Like, how do I show up and actually serve them? Think outside of the box of not literally out of my clinic walls of like, okay, what are the things I'm saying every day? And how can I best serve somebody in their living room of like, how do I reach them where they're at? Can I give them tangible activities and actions and information that can actually transform their lives? And that's really the biggest thing for me was around not just selling pieces and parts or supplements or that. It's like, how do I actually make an impact as if they were coming in? Now, I'm still working on, you challenged me to be able to deliver stem cells through the interwebs here. So I'm still working on that. But the information of, like, what is their journey? What are the pieces that they're not getting in their day-to-day? And so that's what I kind of assembled for my one-day summit. And it's been a smash hit. Like, folks around the globe they're giving us praises. They're really, their lives are transformed, not as if, not entirely, right? It's a one-day summit, so we can only give them so much info in there, but it really gets them started and they're very appreciative for the info. And, it is, it's a way that I've actually built my following and list really niched out in that specific topic, in that those are the people that's who I'm talking to every day. And, I went from a very small list to having like 300 people opening my emails. Now I've got over 15,000 people opening my emails. It's like, I love that,
That is incredible, dude. Like, do you not just smile listening to Greg talk over here? One, you're just so positive, and two, you're real while being positive. I love this. Now, there's all kinds of areas I want to dig into this. So we're going to come back to like what's been the end goal, like what you do with this audience in a minute, because it has been extremely financially rewarding. But I want to dig down into the niche of the topic. Okay. So there's a lot of our summit hosts that are listening right now. They're thinking multi-day summit. I'm going to do this big, grandiose. Now you've done both. You've actually done a mega multi-day summit. You started off, as I normally recommend, with a one-day summit. Get that expertise and experience under your belt before moving into the multi-day summit. So let's just actually talk about that. The difference in between a one-day summit and a multi-day summit, the amount of work, the effort, kind of the differences between the two.
Oh, sure. The one-day summit, so that's where I did get my start, right? And I interviewed 7 people for it. It's basically a half a day, 3/4 of a day summit. I did 30-minute interviews. Really, I use the virtual summit software platform, made it very easy for a doc provider, not tech dude, to make it work. And so it was, thank you for that, by the way. And, you know, it sends out the info and brings in, you know, the speakers fill out their forms and then we interview them. And that has been, I did that back in the fall. It's almost been a year of running the summit, and it's running every month. It's like the third Saturday of the month. It's on autopilot. I get 500 to 700 people a month. It pays for the ad spend and I make money on the summit. But really that's just like the lead loss. Like that's the information of, I want people into my ecosphere so I can educate them about what we're doing and take them on a journey to Wellville is what I call it. So that one, you know, it was, you know, the learning curve was steep because it was the first time. It was like, okay, get it done. What's the message? What's the journey? Where are we going afterwards? So that was the one-day summit. The multi-day summit, the brain degeneration summit is what I did, was massive, right? I interviewed 33 people. That's a lot of coordination, logistics. That was a longer play. I think it took about 7-8 months to put that thing together. Whereas the one-day summit, I believe I did it in 3 months. So I really cranked that thing out, really focused. So 3 months versus about 8 months. But I have, on the one-day summit, I have, you know, it's running every month and it's consistent. It's got a good cadence and it just consistently brings in, you know, 500 to 700 leads per month. The one-day summit or the multi-day summit that I did, it was over 40,000 people came through, and that was right at the beginning of the pandemic. So, you know, there was a lot of distraction. I'm going to re-release that one, but it was a success. I was super psyched on it. I mean, to have my message go out, you know, the learning process and the interviewing, the information that I gained as just an individual was outstanding. The connections made, the, you know, synergy and other aspects of running a summit were also kind of those intangibles, are also, those are some lifelong friendships and connections that I've made through doing both of these things. So the differences you asked for, the one day versus the multi-day, I think I hit on those if you've got some clarification.
Yeah.
There.
No, and that's perfect. Like, again, both are extremely valuable. Both have reasons for using them. We're going to get into some of the specific tactics you still use with the one-day summit and how that's rewarding. But, you know, one-day summits are never going to be multi-day summits. 5 experts, 10 experts, you know, it's going to be a smaller list build than a multi-day summit, which has 30, 40, 50, 60 experts. But time-wise, much quicker, much easier to put on, much bigger process, takes a lot of time. I always recommend starting with the one-day summit because it's much more forgiving. If you make some of those mistakes with a 40-person multi-day summit, you can't get that back. You've just wasted 40, you know, maybe not wasted, but you've lost some of that momentum you could have had if you knew some of the what to expect in advance. Now, I also want to ask about this, Greg, not that you were quote unquote unknown before your summits, but maybe hidden gem, you're expert in your local niche area, things like that, maybe specifically in your profession. How would you say you're seen now in the terms of expertise across colleagues, et cetera, from doing summits?
You know, it's night and day, actually. I mean, you know, then you become this known figure. I mean, from patients, like they know my story before they get on the phone with me. I mean, they're really already, they really want to work with me now. Like, oh my gosh, like Dr. Eckel, I can't believe you're right in my town, to, oh, I'm flying from New Zealand to come and see you. So it really does that kind of super credibility component of, look, I just was associated with all of these heavy hitters in the industry that I interviewed them on my summit. That was the multi-day summit. The one-day summit is, you know, I'm educating people, see me for the day, and they get used to my conversation style, maybe my face, my voice. They have a relationship with me already. So all across the board, it's just made it where instead of going out to go get people, now it's like, no, actually I have people coming to me, and we get to be choosy with who we work with now. And so it's really really switched the gauge of, rather than the energy out, now it's energy in, coming at me. So it's brought a lot more ease. I will tell you that.
Yeah, I mean that is incredible. I love hearing this. And what would you say as far as in the experts community with your other colleagues? Meaning, before you were interviewing or asking people on your summit that maybe you kind of looked up to as either mentors or influencers, like how does it feel now to have some of those people on like speed dial essentially?
It's awesome. And that truly happened. It's like folks that I really looked up to, been following for 15 years, is like all of a sudden I'm interviewing them. It's like, oh, this is so great. It's a different ball game now, right? Like if I need somebody on my podcast and I can put it out through the network. So it really grew my network tremendously. And so having that global reach now is phenomenal. It's like, wow, we actually can reach. We're going right into people's living rooms and a lot of them. So I'm just really excited for that kind of being able to influence and transform and get the information out that people are really literally dying for.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your virtual summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
And you are literally the example of the opportunity that exists. Someone with expertise, someone with knowledge that wants to make an impact, that has a message, that wants to help serve and change the world, to actually taking action on that and happening. Now, it didn't happen overnight. You mentioned one-day summit took 3 months. You spent 8 months on your multi-day summit. So it took time, but now you're reaping the rewards. And that's one of the reasons I love this Summit Talks, is to have a lot of you summit hosts actually go, oh, that's right. That's where it was when we started. Now look at where we're at now. Well, yours was not only a great lead gen opportunity and still does 500 to 700 new prospects every month, but it was also very financially rewarding. So talk us through the strategy you ended up using for your one-day summits, and how is that paying you dividends now?
Sure. And actually, I wanted to bring that up, the difference between the quality of individual on the list from the one-day summit to the multi-day summit. So the multi-day summit, because I had so many different variety of speakers on there, you're not necessarily niche down into what your audience is or should be, of who you want to be speaking to. So, I got a ton of emails of individuals, and then, through time, they disappear, they go away. They're not the right people for your message, right? Which is totally appropriate and fine, but you kind of go, oh, you don't like seeing them leave the list, but you realize they weren't really meant to be there anyways. Versus the one-day summit, it is so targeted. My one-day summit is called Parkinson Solution Summit. And guess what it's about? It's about Parkinson's. Yes. So it is specific. Like that individual on there is really the person that I want to be talking to. So what came out of the interviews, and I knew this going in, but I didn't know that it was going to come out in every single interview, was the assessment for these individuals is lacking. And all of these experts in different components of, nutrition and environmental aspects and hyperbarics and stem cells, they all basically said, and I did not prompt them to say this, Mark, but they were basically saying, yes, the assessment is horrific. Well, I knew that going into the summit. And so from that one-day summit, I invite people to a webinar on assessment, like questions that you should ask your neurologist, to really frame it in a sense to say, you know what, I know you're going to the best medical system on the planet, whatever it is, Stanford, Mayo, Cleveland Clinic. I mean, I'm seeing people from all of the systems, and they're seeing the experts, the top-notch doctor, neurologist in Parkinson's and movement disorders. And then I have these questions that I say, well, ask them these. And I know that they're not asking the patient, they're not asking this individual these questions around their exercise, nutrition, like other facets of care. Well, there is no known cure for this condition right now. It's like we need to be doing this. So this webinar it's an hour long. We educate them about these options of these questions that you need to be asking. They realize, oh, maybe my neurologist doesn't know everything. And then 2, here's what I'm finding, and it's what I wrote in my book on these are the assessment areas. And so then if you're not getting this and you want to talk about it here, book a call so they can get on a 30-minute discovery call with me after that hour webinar. So I'm pre-educating them, which is so different than the way I used to do this. And it's so much more enjoyable when they get on and they've got specific questions and they're like, okay, when can we get started? So from there, if they don't book a call, they can just buy the bundle of test kits too. So some people choose to do that. And so that in itself is, that's like, put $1 in and get $5 back. But on top of that, then, I invite those that qualify to come out to Camp Nature Cure. So that I've got people flying in now a little bit slower with travel things happening right now, but they're still coming. And because why? They need this and it's the right thing for them to do. So I've got people coming out. My program is about 20K out here and they're flying in to get treated here at Camp Nature Cures. So it's really broadened my reach. It's made the game way more fun. It's not this like me convincing them. Now they've got to convince me, like, we a good fit? Like, do you get to work with Dr. Greg? Because it is that, that's where we're at now. And so that, to say that with such certainty, it creates such a powerful living experience for me. So, and the impact that we have, I'm humbled by it, actually. It's just amazing.
Man, I got goosebumps just hearing this story, Greg. Like, so much about what you're saying is out there and waiting for all of our summit hosts to just get started. Now, some of you may not knock it out of the park on your first summit like Greg has done, but getting started, you will have some of these benefits in all areas by just getting started. And I love this, like going from like having to search for people to people literally knocking on your door, asking for you, getting to determine who you want to work with and having fun in the process. So a couple questions with this. One, the webinar you're doing. So you go from one day summit, which is very niche, which you did really well with that, very niche. Experts provides expert leverage for you. You are seen as the authority and influence on that. It educates your clients or potential patients. And then they come to the webinar where they get to get specific information from you. It's that next step. Is that live or is it pre-recorded on demand?
That is pre-recorded now.
So like this entire process is just happening with EverSummit on your one-day summit, like with Virtual Summit software, into this on-demand webinar, to in a phone call or a talk with you to see if they qualify to come in. Now, how much would you say, more or less, since you've started this, have you been rewarded for the value you've been giving?
Well, it is like I've gone all in on this thing. So it's really bringing in all of the, it's all of the marketing that I'm doing. I've done away with, I was print advertising in the, newspaper. I'm old school. I am old, and I had, I still do some TV though as well. So, but the component is, it's a scalable component now. Like
So would you say it's like you brought in from this funnel, this summit funnel, 10,000, 20,000, 6 figures? Where would you say?
No, we're over millions at this point. So it's a great, it's really given us the ability to serve. Like I'm hiring people to help me do the work here at Nature Cures.
Brother, I am so happy and proud for you. This is absolutely incredible. I have more questions, but I know everybody's going, Mark, I want to see something of Greg's. Let's see a little summit show and tell here. So Go ahead, show us what you got on your summit. Just give us a quick walkthrough, and hopefully I can still cram in a few more questions.
Sure. So here is my Parkinson Solutions Summit. Now, you can see this actually, you can't even read the copy. So this is like, I need to fix that, but it's still working, right? So here you can see it's coming up here, register. I do like the picture of the brain, but I got to get that copy out there. But even with that, it's just working. Change the rules on Parkinson's disease. Coming down, meet your host. Here I am. What others are saying. I've got one testimonial on there, and we go from a free for the live day. You can pre-purchase for $97. The day of, you can buy it for $97, and then afterwards, you got to pay $127. So that's it. We've got it. It's a real simple landing page. It's not even, it's not perfect by any means. So like what Dr. Mark is saying is just get started on this thing. Yeah.
That is incredible. No, thank you so much for showing that. And I actually, can you go back down to this, because this is the first time I've seen all the way at the bottom with the pricing options laid out in this way. I think this is really a very creative way of doing this. Especially if you're running it on EverSummit, like if you're using Virtual Summit software on EverSummit, or you're going to do an evergreen version. If it was evergreen, you would get rid of the free aspect. But I love this here with EverSummit. It shows them right now. You can grab it for free here, but it's already letting them know what the price is going to go up to if they don't grab it right now. So I bet that increases the amount of people that even jump into a paid option right away. Thank you so much, Greg, for sharing that with us. Okay, so with that being said, we have the experts who've now seen you've got this success that you're still running it. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the tweaks you've made from when it was originally live to now that it's running on EverSummit, and it's just, it's hands off, just bringing you people in. What were some of the, maybe going back and looking at the things, like how did you improve it from when it was originally live to now running?
So the thing is, I have just done it once and I'm letting it ride. So I haven't tweaked it. I know it is. I did it that first month and it was like, whoa, we got a winner, like chicken dinner, like here we go. And, we're tweaking the advertising and the target audiences that we're going after to make sure we're getting a good quality lead that's coming into this educational funnel. So it is really around optimizing. So, I'm doing like video ads and stuff like that. So it is, that's the switch. So one, like I said, on the landing page, I've got to get a darker image behind that so that the copy pops, right? Because my audience, they're older and they're not seeing, right? So that was an oversight on my part. But even that said, it's still working. And so it's like, okay, that's not pretty, even though I like the brain picture on there. You can't read any of the words. So it is in that fashion. That's what I'm going to tweak. I'm going to tweak that. I think I am going to put some new content coming up as well. So we'll expand the offering on that and just kind of maybe, make another day. So it'll be a 2-day or along those lines. But really, it's been kind of hands off, which I love. I'm kind of a set it and let it ride type of guy. If it's working, I'm not going to fix it.
With the EverSummit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
Right. Yeah. Which please don't. If it's working, don't fix it. Leave it. Yeah. Let it ride. This is a great point you just brought up here. So you have one, and we haven't actually talked about this yet. So with any summit, you can always add more content to the summit. At a later time, you can do more interviews, new interviews, add it to your current summit, and then even reach out to past experts or past speakers and have them share. So with your 1-day summit that you turn into a 2-day summit, you could even reach back out to those original speakers on your 1-day summit. Say, hey, we are relaunching this thing like this. It did so great the first time. If you don't mind sending out one more email, and maybe they will, maybe they won't, but it's a good way to get some more momentum with that as well. So great points here, Greg. I got 2 more questions before we have to wrap up. First off, what's been the biggest positive impact that you've received from hosting your virtual summits?
Biggest positive impact. I recently got a great news email from a patient of mine, Cynthia from North Carolina. She came through the one-day summit, went to the webinar, and then came out and got treatment for Parkinson's. And this woman, bless her heart, I mean, she was really advanced stage Parkinson's disease. And I get this email from Cynthia, and it says, I used to not be able to go from the couch in my living room to the kitchen without really having to think about it, because her gait, her functionality was so bad. She was falling forward, using a walker, really stutter step. She said, I just got off the treadmill. I was walked for 20 minutes, 2 miles an hour with no issues with my walking. Her pain, which she was having to apply topical pain medications like 5 to 6 times a day in her neck, totally gone for 5 days. Her tremor, said her daughter saw her on Tuesday, really bad tremor. Over the weekend, no tremor. And this is now lasting months. In addition, like the big kicker was around, she was able to shop and go to the laundry and cook and without any issues. So she's got her life back. And the biggest thing she said, she wrote, I hadn't even realized how depressed I had become. I'm even laughing again. And that, just that, having that impact, like I would have never reached her in North Carolina had I not been doing this stuff. And so I'm now getting stories like that from around the globe. And it is so enlivening. It's like, it's really put a jump in my step of like, okay, how do I show up in a big way and serve even more people? So that aspect, it's just really energized me back into the practice, back into the mission of the clinic, and really into serving more people. So, in that, it's really just bolstered my purpose of what we're doing on the planet.
Oh man, this is so good. So good. If you have a health summit or a topic that you think Greg would fit on, you should have him on your summit. He is amazing. He's an amazing human being as well as a clinician, and now an online entrepreneur as well.
Yeah,
so thank you so much for this, Dr. Greg. You're going to see all of Greg's information here next to the video. Reach out to him, follow him on social, like his stuff, share his stuff with a family member or loved one. Dr. Greg, thank you again so much. He's also been super generous to give us a special Summit Talks bonus, which you're going to see right below this video. Dr. Greg, do you want to tell us just a little bit more about that? So you'll see that right below this video. You can grab it there. Additionally, I just want to say, Dr. Greg, thank you so much. I love hanging out and chatting with you, but this has been so educational and inspiring. Thank you for sharing with us your insights, your wisdom, and your time with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, Summit hosts, for hanging out with Dr. Greg and I. I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, your host here on Summit Talks. And remember, your message matters. One of the most powerful ways to get that out to the world is with a virtual summit. Also, don't forget to grab your Summit Super Pack, which has your all-access pass, my one-day summit formula, and 6 months of the virtual summit software, plus some very special bonuses from our partners, speakers, and sponsors. But it's not going to stay there forever. So grab it now while you still can, and I'll see you on the next session.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the Summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.